day, ladies and gentlemen. It's Eric Coffin, HRA Advisories. I'm here with Mike Connor, CEO of Visa Silver. Visa is a company that I cover in the newsletter, started covering about a year and a half ago. They essentially got a 100% option on an entire mining camp in Mexico called Panuco. Panuco had never really seen any modern exploration. A couple of people drilled it 30, 40 years ago. It's mainly owned by vendors, one of which is actually still mining at a small scale. But I mean, essentially, this was classic large epithermal silver gold camp that had never seen a modern exploration, and Visa essentially got the whole thing. So since they picked it up, these guys they've been going at it pretty hard. They've got 8 drill rigs going now. Mike is going to give you highlights from 2 areas that they reported on today and last week. This is a very impressive project, very impressive results. The stock has done well, but honestly, there's definitely a lot of room here because these guys just keep hitting it out of the park with these drill holes. So can you just give us a quick view of what you put out this week and last week, Mike?
Yeah, definitely. And thank you, Eric. I suspect the reason that the stock has done well recently is that the company seems to have turned a corner in terms of the potential that we see here for large scale resources at both Napoleon and Tajitos. Now, just to set the scale a little bit here, Tajitos and Napoleon are less than 5% of the overall vein extent that we see in the entire district. This is just scratching the surface. We've just begun here, but it's already looking very, very big. And so just to show what we're talking about here, I'll talk about 2 veins, Napoleon, which is a 3-kilometer long vein of strike here in the western portion of our district. And then to the east, about 500 meters, is the Tajitos vein. So there's 2 veins here that we'll discuss. What we've done recently is shown the scale of the Napoleon vein and the Tajitos vein. And the way that we've done that is by putting out in the public domain, the average vein width and the average grade that we see in this panel of mineralization. So the dimensions here, 800 meters in strike, 300 meters in depth, 4 meters wide in true width of the vein, and 440 grams of silver equivalent in grade. And recent drilling has extended this now to the south, where we're seeing very high grades of silver here to the south. At depth here, we're seeing very high grades of silver and gold. And we're infill drilling this right now. So currently 4 drill rigs turning on a very sizable panel of mineralization here at Napoleon. And recently today, actually, we announced that we put out more news here on the Tajitos vein, doing the same thing that we did at Napoleon, which is giving the average width, average grade, and the dimensions of the Tajitos area here. So Tajitos is a little bit smaller, but 575 meters in strike, 250 meters in depth, and average width of 3 meters, an average grade a little bit higher at 505 silver equivalent. So 2 centers of near-term resources or near-term mineralization for the company. And we're really only just getting started here. So, we've really only been drilling here for about 9 months, and we expect there to be a significant amount more potential to drill here along strike and at depth.
Okay, I mean, these are great results, and there's a couple of important takeaways in terms of their reporting that I really like that these guys are doing, and that I think it's important to understand. One is that when they're reporting true widths, true thicknesses. That's not something a lot of companies do until they're well into the drilling program. Not because they're trying to hide anything necessarily, but because they simply don't know. It takes a lot of drilling to be able to actually have the dip and the plunge and the strike nailed down in these things well enough to be able to say, okay, we know exactly what angle we're hitting this at. So the true thickness is going to be X. In the case of these 2 areas, Tajitos is 3 meters, Napoleon's 4. Those are very, very adequate for modern mechanized mining. You probably wouldn't have much dilution. And again, the grades here, a little over 400 Napoleon average, 500 average at Tajitos. Those are very good grades. And I want to stress that the other thing that Visa's done that I like a lot is that they basically give you grades of silver and gold. Most of the systems in Mexico are polymetallic, and it's not uncommon to see companies mining 200-300 grams silver equivalent, but where silver's only half or even less of the value overall. There's a lot of base metals in it. There's not much base metals in this system, and Diesel is not actually quoting any of them. So the silver equivalent you see is just silver and gold. And I like the fact there's good gold grades all over the place. Mike can't do it. He's not allowed to. But I've, for what it's worth, I've done, back of the envelope, and I'm not going to pretend I've gone into it too heavily. It's a pretty simple back of the envelope rule of thumb calculation. But I would say between Tajitos and Napoleon now, personally, I'd say they're at least 50 million ounces silver equivalent, probably more than that. And again, that's me saying that's not you. But to give some perspective on that, I just wanted to ask Mike as a closer here, when you guys picked up these options, and yeah, it's like the buyouts, 20, 30 million, whatever it is, and that looked like a lot at first, although keep in mind that these guys they're getting a mill, they're getting surface rates, they're getting tailings, they're getting fully permitted sites that they could basically flip the switch on tomorrow. And with that in mind, when you guys negotiated this deal, what did you think the threshold was going to be? Like, all other things being equal, how big did you think you were going to have to make this thing for it to make sense?
Well, our target was 25 to 30 million ounces of silver equivalent to kind of justify the purchase, and leave it at that maybe.
Yeah. So I mean, there you go, folks. I mean, I personally think they're well past that. And this is, Napoleon's wide open, Tajitos is wide open. There's literally scores of veins. They haven't drilled yet. They've got a huge crew out finding more. Great story, fantastic news flow. Right in the sweet spot where you want to be if you want some comfort on something that's obviously got a resource, but also still has that excitement drill results. Visa Silver, great story. Get on it.